Try that again. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NGLCC Webinar Wednesdays. I am so pleased to welcome you here today. My name is Jonathan Lovitz. I'm NGLCC's Senior Vice President. My pronouns are he and him. We'll be joined momentarily by my fantastic co-senior VP, Sabrina Kent. And we are thrilled to welcome there she is. Welcome, Sabrina. Welcome to our special presentation on what can Hello Alice do for your LGBT business. We are thrilled to work with Hello Alice, one of our outstanding partners that grew from a relationship in our NGLCC NY office all the way to a great national partnership. We're going to talk about the research we've done together and their massive array of opportunities and solutions for diverse small business owners. And to guide us through today, welcome Shruti Shah, Program Manager / all-around expert in small business support and customer satisfaction from Hello Alice. Shruti, welcome. We're so happy to have you with us. Oh.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Me too.
And I'm really excited to be here today and share more about Hello Alice.
Excellent. Well, Shruti, also, why don't you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and your background?
For sure. So I'm Shruti. I've been working with the Alice team for about 9 months. But prior to that, I was an entrepreneur in residence at a place called Silicon Valley Bank, which is a bank for startups that some of you might be familiar with. And I'm actually an entrepreneur. I built a company called Move Loot. It was an online marketplace for buying and selling used furniture. Went the very traditional Silicon Valley route with that business. Was the co-founder and COO, raised about $22 million and scaled a big physical operation nationally, which was a crazy experience that I'm also happy to talk about. But I have a real passion for helping other people build businesses and also being able to use what I've learned so people don't make the same mistakes that I did. So really excited to be part of the Alice team and to be part of all the work we're doing, particularly with new majority business owners, which is a term that we use to describe business owners that are women and people of color and LGBTQ and veterans and people with disabilities. So yeah, thank you again for having me. And I'll share a couple of slides and some of the data, but really want to open it up to questions.
Oh, please. Thank you. Go right ahead and take the screen away. It's all yours. We'd love to hear a little bit of an overview on Hello Alice. We'll talk a little bit about some of that survey data you have, and we'll open it up to questions. That's actually a great segue to remind everyone that you can use our Q&A and chat box to share questions and comments throughout the conversation. We are streaming live on Facebook. Hi to everyone watching. I see lots of viewers out there. This will be preserved, so anyone who couldn't join us today can take advantage of these opportunities anytime at nglcc.org/webinars. So Shruti, take it away.
Thanks so much. Okay. So just want to provide, okay, there it is. Just want to provide a quick overview about what Hello Alice is. Hello Alice is a machine learning platform that basically provides small business owners with resources, opportunities to connect with other business owners, modules that we call guides, and opportunities for funding, all in kind of one place. So the way it works is that you would go to helloalice.com, create a platform for your small business. It's not a platform, create an account for your small business. And it would walk you through a series of questions about kind of both demographically who you are, where you're located, how many employees your business has. And then what it's able to do is push specific resources or opportunities that might be relevant to you based on kind of where you are and what the needs of your business might be. So you can kind of think of us as like a digital version of a chamber of commerce that's trying to meet you where you are in kind of the growth of your business. I kind of mentioned some of the pieces of what it means to be part of Hello Alice, but one of the big pieces is community. There are a number of communities that you can be part of on Hello Alice. Our biggest community is Business for All. It was a community that we launched last year and has since grown to over 185,000 members. The members of this community are, participating in everything from AMAs with expert mentors. So we bring in influencers, but also people that have built businesses who might have expertise in, consumer packaged goods or healthcare or arts and recreation, kind of any type of business you could think of. We try to bring in industry experts to answer questions and provide feedback digitally. And it's also a great place to collaborate with other business owners. So we have a community page where you can ask a question of another person. You can throw a question out to the group. But the goal is really to encourage interaction among business owners, because oftentimes I think for small business owners, the best resources can be found with kind of feedback from other small business owners. And then in addition to that, we're constantly posting articles and links to funding opportunities. In some cases, we are providing funding. So Jonathan mentioned a little bit of kind of the report that we worked on together, which was around how COVID had impacted LGBTQ businesses. And as part of that, we've been working with a lot of our enterprise partners. So Hello Alice has a lot of partnerships with big corporations, and they pushed emergency grant funding to Hello Alice to be able to distribute to small business owners. So that's going to be a continued initiative on our part, where we'll continue to provide grants to small business owners, especially as many businesses try to navigate kind of this COVID and post-COVID world. But we also try to partner with other organizations that have additional funding opportunities and provide those as resources as well. We also do content partnerships. So I mentioned that we have a lot of enterprise relationships, but a lot of our best content comes from our enterprise partners who know the industry like the back of their hand, or know or maybe serve small businesses on a large scale as well. The example that you see is with Chase. Chase is one of our partners, and we just co-created a series of guides with them on understanding cash flow. These are basically interactive modules that you can walk through that will provide you with links to resources they've created and models that they've created to help small business owners understand their cash flow. So our hope with this is to just try to bring the best feedback and information about how to do different things when it comes to building your business from people who are experts in the field, and in the process, hopefully increase the probability of success for many small businesses. These are some of our partners on the enterprise side. All of these companies are companies that work with small businesses and that want to provide resources and funding in many cases to small businesses. So, just wanted to share some of our strategic partners. And then I'm going to transfer over to our deck. One sec. So I mentioned a little bit, hold on one second, about our data. So one of the things, because as I mentioned, when you make an account on helloalice.com, you are putting in some information about your business and the stage of growth and the industry. All of this data is anonymized, so we would never give out specific information about a business to any partner. But the goal is to be able to use this data in a way that really lets us advocate for the owners on our platform to make sure that we are providing all of you with the resources that you need given the stage of growth of your business. So I just wanted to share a little bit about Hello Alice. We have over 200,000 businesses on our platform. I mentioned Business for All, which is our largest community, which has over 180,000 members. About 8% of our owners identify as LGBTQ. 66% are female and about 32% are male. Hello Alice, I think, is a really unique community of small business owners because in so many ways we are working with small business owners that are often underrepresented, especially when it comes to access to capital, and really access to resources. And I think that's what's so powerful about our platform. These are the top 5 industries, and let me know, I know this is in a PDF. Unfortunately, I don't have slides of this one, but
that looks good.
Okay, cool. Well, so this is kind of an industry breakdown of where all of our business owners sit by industry. As you can see, it's pretty evenly spread across a number of different industries. I will say for a lot of our LGBTQ businesses, the vast majority are in, we had a note. The vast majority are in arts and entertainment, food and beverage, and health and wellness. But we have business owners across industry. Most of our business owners, go ahead.
No, when I actually scroll up, if you would, just a second, to where you were about the, or maybe downward. Yeah, those percentages. It's interesting because that's one of the great things, one of the reasons why we want so many NGLCC stakeholders to be sure that they're working with you and getting their aggregated data.
Yep.
The national numbers are much closer to what you see about percentages of industry, as opposed to those who may have just come across Hello Alice in the past. So a good shout out to everyone who's on today's call to make sure they register with you, because that national picture is much more aligned with what we see with certified LGBTBEs as we put out in our report in 2017. So it'll be really interesting to see as those things start to level out and meet each other.
Absolutely. I think it will be really interesting. And we're trying to put these reports out roughly every quarter. You know, sometimes we can put them out more quickly. We're adding small business owners by the multiple thousands every week, so these numbers do change pretty quickly. The vast majority of our business owners are building companies between 2 and 10 employees, and then we obviously have a very large contingent as well where they're sole proprietorships. And a lot of our businesses as well, in terms of revenue, are doing revenue somewhere in the ballpark of $25K to about $500,000. And this is annual revenue. So we try to provide resources that one of the topics that I think a lot of our owners have is how do I continue to grow revenue? And so that is something that we spend a lot of time trying to help our business owners think about as well. Top 5 biggest business challenges. These are probably familiar to many of you who are running small businesses, but
Yep.
the biggest one, obviously, raising capital, always a challenge. I think particularly a challenge in the environment that we're in right now. Even with PPP, which was, I think, somewhat of a disaster in some cases, but it continues to be a challenge, and I think given just the need for a lot of companies to have to pivot their business and rethink their strategy for acquiring customers. This just speaks to the different types of entities on our platform. Many of the entities on our platform are LLCs, lots of sole proprietorships, but we do see some C Corps and S Corps, a number of nonprofits as well. There are people who are investors who are on our platform as well, because they're interested in the conversation around what's happening with business owners, and sometimes we have investors do AMAs also so that they can interact with small business owners.
Shruti, are you also tracking B Corps or socially committed corporations? I ask because we have a lot of LGBTBEs who are opening subsidiaries or expanding their mission to have that socially driven bottom line impact.
Yeah, that's a good question. I will check with our team on that. If we're not tracking it, we should be, because I agree with you. I think there's a lot of interest in that. So I'll check.
Awesome.
Company stats. So we talk a lot about, I mentioned the term new majority, but that refers to women, people of color, LGBTQ community, those with a military connection, and people with disabilities. We are really interested, beyond just the business owner, how diverse is the company itself. And as you can see, the vast majority of our companies have a high number of employees that identify as new majority, which I think is also really awesome because it speaks to just the diversity of the businesses that we are working with. Here are the top cities by industry. I mean, New York and California, as you can imagine, have a lot of business owners, but we also see a lot of activity in Texas. One of our co-founders is from Texas. We've had a big reach in Houston, and then also Florida and Georgia. And then just as a note, these are the top industries that we, by state. So in California, we're seeing a lot of healthcare and wellness businesses. In Texas, it's professional services. Florida, the industry is other. I'd have to look into what other actually means. But in New York, it's arts and entertainment, and Georgia, professional services.
Hey, Shruti, that's super interesting. And Florida is definitely heavy on the IT and tourism. So I would be interested to know
I would imagine,
what that says.
Yeah, I'm going to make a note and see if I can dig into that other data point.
And then we had a question in here, slightly off topic, but I think it's important to contextualize as folks are thinking about the platform. Is there any advantage to signing, there, it just disappeared, there we go. Is there any advantage to signing into the platform with Facebook other than the ease of signing in as opposed to creating an account? For example, will Hello Alice be able to see my business's Facebook page that way and then provide better content to me because of my account being linked to Facebook?
I don't think so. I think it's just the ease of sign-in as opposed to any information that we would get at this time. I'd have to check with our product team, but my understanding is that the Facebook feature is just there to enable easy sign up.
Excellent. And then to another question with two questions, but I'm going to combine them into one. So do you have any COVID-19 impact funding opportunities available at this time? And also, what is the lowest threshold for a business's annual revenue to be considered for funding opportunities with Hello Alice?
Yeah, so that's a great question. There isn't a threshold, and we just wrapped up our last round of COVID grants, but we are going to be launching a new round of grant opportunities under kind of the umbrella of Business for All, which is really about navigating kind of this post-COVID world. You can be on the lookout for an announcement for that in the next couple of weeks, and then we will be distributing grants on an ongoing basis, really for the rest of 2020 and well into 2021.
Excellent, thank you.
Great. Okay, so the top 10 cities of Hello Alice owners. Obviously, New York and Houston. We have a big user base there. San Francisco. I think these are major U.S. cities, so probably no surprises there. And then this is our owner demographics page. I mentioned we have over 200,000 owners. This breaks all of our owners down by kind of the category, I guess you could say, that they fit into in terms of new majority. So we have many Black business owners and Hispanic business owners on our platform, as well as Asian business owners. I think this page would be of interest to this group, but about 8,700 owners on our platform identify as LGBTQ. And then we can go further as to kind of what the breakdown of that looks like. I'm trying to think if there are, and then also within that we've identified, there might be owners on our platform that have identified as LGBTQ, but they also identify as Black or as of having a disability or as military affiliated as well. So these are just our general demographics. I'm just going to see if there's anything else in here. So this is our COVID data. So I mentioned that we had COVID grants that we were issuing to small businesses with help from a lot of our enterprise partners. We had over 100,000 COVID grant applicants, which is pretty remarkable. About 8% of those were applicants that identified as LGBTQ. And this was kind of the industry breakdown of where a lot of those businesses sat in terms of kind of the work that they're doing. We did release a report with Jonathan's help in, I guess, at the end of June, that was focused on LGBTQ business owners. We had about 5,200 applications from LGBTQ businesses. About 55% of those businesses, or 55% of those applicants, said that they had to pivot their business because of COVID. And 76% of those businesses said that they saw reduced sales, largely due to kind of social distancing measures because of COVID. So those are some pretty jarring statistics, I think, and obviously demonstrates just the incredible need that exists because of the pandemic that we're all currently living through. I think this is really interesting. It just describes the impact of COVID on small businesses. A lot of companies have had reduced sales, either because of the economy or because of social distancing. Employee anxiety has played a role, I think, in company performance. Difficulty accessing capital, supply chain issues is one that seems to come up a lot. So just really interesting to have deeper insight, I think, into what the challenges of many of the businesses that we're working with are facing. A lot of our businesses have either temporarily pivoted their business or permanently pivoted their business. This data is, I guess, is data that we've collected on an ongoing basis. So I think the longer that we are in this kind of crisis, it'll be interesting to see if these numbers change over time and they become more permanent as the effects of coronavirus become more far-reaching. So that's kind of the end of the report, but I'm more than happy to answer. I'm going to stop sharing. Any questions that anybody has, and would love to just have a conversation about what you guys are interested in.
Yeah, that would be great. We have a lot of folks who have reached out, especially after we shared the COVID resources, but also the economic report that we put together, that were just fascinated by sort of the depth of wealth of opportunities. I think Joan Cox from our Maryland LGBT Chamber, hi Joan, thanks for joining us, mentioned that she was surprised to see just how sort of deep your well of resources goes. What else is available? What are sort of the highlights that a small business owner could find in working with Hello Alice?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is probably opportunity, like information about either your industry or resources that might be helpful to your business. Our goal, and we're adding new resources every day, either from our partners or just information that we are finding, that our team is finding. And then I think it's also the opportunity to collaborate with other small business owners. I've yet to see a platform that is as comprehensive, just in terms of, like, you know, you can ask a question and get answers either from experts or from other people who might be in your industry, who might, you know of a good supplier or have an idea for a strategy that you might be able to use to continue to grow your company.
That's so great. And I want to, what are one of the major issues that were, it certainly was highlighted in the stats that you just shared, but certainly is probably, I think, a number one concern with all small businesses, but especially in our community, is the access to capital piece. Obviously, COVID grants are a sort of separate and apart element of what you do. What are some of those other funding channels that you're working with? Because I know we're going to be continuing to partner to get more information about our certification to your LGBTQ stakeholders so that they understand a lot of the funding mechanisms that are available to certified minority-owned businesses. But what are some of the broader small business initiatives that you're a part of that could help people, especially as they're quite nervous about funding and the numbers ahead for 2021?
So, I mean, I think these COVID grants, or I guess what will transition to a Business for All grant that we will be issuing, I guess, starting in the next month on a rolling basis, will be really helpful. But we also really try with our partners to highlight funding opportunities that they might have. So we partner with incubators and accelerators where we're providing resources, or we're providing those opportunities to our business owners so that they know about them and can apply for them. if there are opportunities for crowdfunding, or in some cases, we're talking now to some of our bigger partners about the possibility of figuring out how to help with maybe short-term loans or things of that nature, which hopefully we'll be able to announce and talk about more fully soon. But I think that there are kind of different buckets of resources for small businesses. The first, I think, is debt financing, which we have a lot of resources on our website that explain debt financing and the pros and cons and kind of different opportunities that might exist in that realm. I would say that we don't always advertise directly, because I think we want to be careful about pushing one company or organization when it comes to a specific product over another, and really want to be just a resource, like kind of a neutral resource hub for our business owners. But if there are specific opportunities in that realm that we think would be good for business owners, we would definitely make an announcement in one of the communities, add it as a resource on Hello Alice so that people would know about it. The other funding opportunities that exist beyond debt financing are, crowdfunding, which I think is a really interesting opportunity, especially because some of the regulations around crowdfunding have loosened over the last, I guess, 3 to 4 months, just in terms of non-accredited investors being able to access the opportunity to fund companies. So there are crowdfunding resources on Hello Alice, but if we partner with an organization that does crowdfunding, we definitely highlight that as well. And then there is obviously the more traditional routes of like angel investing or venture capital. One thing that I would love to highlight is there are some really interesting opportunities now with some of these venture alternatives. So revenue-based financing is becoming incredibly popular. There's an organization called Lighter Capital that does this for software companies, where you can basically apply to get, I guess, up to $3 million. It's largely dependent on what your revenue is, but they take a percentage of revenue as their return. Clearbank is another one that does it for marketing spend for companies, mostly in the CPG space. So I would encourage people to look into revenue-based financing. I think it's a great opportunity as well, and one that's not dilutive to your equity. Venture capital, as many of you probably know, is still incredibly biased and also hard to access. We do have venture investors on our platform who, sometimes look at companies. We have a number of organizations we partner with that, are close to the venture community. But I think the goal with Hello Alice is really just to show you what resources exist and then have you be able to kind of make the best decision for your small business.
That's such a great point, because that's always something that's asked of us, especially with 60 plus affiliates around the US and the world, is how do I keep track of just everything that's out there? And it's great to be working with Hello Alice to help centralize all of that. I know, Sabrina, I think you have a great question that came in from the message board. What do you have?
Yes. So, Shruti, you mentioned some really great stats on diverse businesses and intersectionality of those businesses. So particularly right now, how can we best advocate for BIPOC businesses and trans and gender nonconforming businesses to help them understand their place in the market and to help us communicate that? And how does Hello Alice support those companies?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we try to target resources to our community members based on how they identify. So if there are specific opportunities for specific groups, we want to make sure that, if we've captured that data from you as you register, that you are seeing those opportunities. So I think that's the most immediate way that we try to be helpful. We also like to highlight the work that those entrepreneurs are doing, whether it's on our founder blog, which Jonathan has referred amazing entrepreneurs to us that we can highlight on our blog, or sometimes Elizabeth.
Shout out to everybody watching. We want to tell your success stories. Let us know what you're up to.
Yeah, let us know what you're up to. We want to tell your story. Elizabeth, who's one of our co-founders, often writes ink columns. So I think for us, it's really about how do we tell the story of the work that so many of our founders are doing, and highlight both the work that they're doing, but also the backgrounds that they're coming from, so that we continue to normalize the conversation around, you know, what an entrepreneur looks like, because an entrepreneur is not a straight white man, even though that's what many people seem to think an entrepreneur is.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Which leads me to another question that was sent over. Is there a cost associated with registering?
There is not. Hello Alice is a free resource for small business owners.
Huge.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
That is amazing. And we will be sure to again share the links and connections and ways for people to be in touch in our post-webinar wrap out. I think it'd be really interesting for you've had your own entrepreneurial journey that you touched on before, and now you've got me thinking about like all the junk in my apartment I want to sell. Talk to us about that journey, especially also because you're a living embodiment, as Sabrina was just saying, of that intersectional experience. You are not the face of the typical person who gets venture capital funding, and in fact, that'd be very much the exception and not the rule. So, how did you break that code, and how can we help inspire more intersectional success?
Yeah, I think that so I'll say a couple things. One is, I think I was pretty blind to the bias that existed in the system when I entered the system. And maybe that worked to my advantage, but frankly, it was like a big slap in the face. I was the co-founder of a company where I had 2 white male co-founders. And I've often asked myself, like, would we have raised the capital that we did if I had not been, if I had been the CEO, for example, or if it had just been me running the company, which is kind of a hard question to grapple with. But all that to say, I think I certainly dealt with investors who treated me differently because of my gender and my skin color, and who had beliefs about my ability to do my job that I don't think were accurate.
Clearly.
Clearly. And so, I think part of the challenge with this is, one, we have to normalize what an entrepreneur looks like. We have to change the conversation around what an entrepreneur looks like, which is a hard thing for one person to do, but for a platform like Alice to exist and to be able to tell the stories of so many entrepreneurs from different backgrounds, that's like a big key piece, I think, in changing the conversation. But I also think for me, it was finding allies and a support group of people that were sharing my experiences and really looking out for me in a way that was genuine and that made me feel seen and heard, especially when I wasn't always getting that in kind of the circles that I was running in. And I just can't emphasize enough how powerful that is, in terms of just being able to navigate an industry and a situation where what you look like, or where your background is not the norm. So it wasn't easy. I would like to say that I think I got lucky. Maybe because of who my co-founders were, I also happened to know some people in the industry who I've known for since I was a kid, who helped us get our first capital. So some of it was pure luck. And also being part of some tech networks like Y Combinator, and a few other networks like that really helped at least put us on a more level playing field with traditional white male hoodie wearing entrepreneurs.
We hear that, yeah, and we're excited to connect you with that's so at the heart of our mission, of course, and we're so excited to connect you with folks like the Gangels, one of our certified LGBTs that is, as far as anyone knows, the only LGBT-owned, operated, and focused VC firm in our community, and also working now with intersectional communities. So it's awesome to see people like you helping sort of flip the script and more importantly, flip the table on people who didn't maybe always want us there. We're coming up on about the end of our conversation, because we have a really exciting conversation coming up in just 15 minutes right back here on Zoom. For anyone that has not heard about it or not had the chance to sign up, we do encourage you to click the link in the Zoom chat that we just put up there for our conversation between our co-founder Justin Nelson and Pulitzer Prize winning journalist from the Washington Post, as well as MSNBC contributor Jonathan Capehart, a dear friend of NGLCC, focused on race, equality, and equity, really carrying on this conversation about how we've flipped and must continue to flip these conversations. But want to give you a chance, Trudy, for sort of closing thoughts and what can we all do next to help advance the work of Hello Alice and the work that we're doing together.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's always great to be able to talk to a group of small business owners. And I would encourage all of you to sign up on helloalice.com, make a profile, start having conversations in our communities. And I'm also happy to share my email address. So if anybody has questions about setting up an account or about Hello Alice generally, or anything about starting a business and scaling a business, I'm more than happy to hop on the phone and chat. So thank you again for your time and for having me. And I really appreciate it.
Thank you. We're grateful to have you in the NGLCC family. We want to thank everybody for joining us. Like we said, we're not going away. We're taking a quick pause to sort of reset the stage and come right back for our next exciting conversation. But do want to remind everyone that, of course, we're here every Wednesday. And Sabrina, is there something happening Friday that people should know about?
There's a little something happening on Friday, Jonathan. It is our LGBT Sip and Pitch Fridays program. If you haven't been, where have you been? But make sure that you register nglcc.org/sip-and-pitch to attend. If you want to apply, please do so at the same link. We look forward to seeing you back here next Wednesday. More importantly, in 15 minutes for an amazing conversation with Jonathan Capehart to kick off our Crossroads and Conversation series. And then again on Friday for Sip and Pitch. Thank you, Shruti, so much for today's presentation. We're so glad to have you and so glad to work with Hello Alice.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Have a great Wednesday, everybody.
you all soon.